And here we are live once again. Good evening, folks. Oh, wait a minute. There goes my phone. Good evening. Welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. I'm Mobile Geezer, which you know if you're watching me from YouTube. You can also watch me live on Facebook, either on Mobile Geezer or George Hayes. We were broadcasting live at the same simulcasting to X for a couple of months, and they changed something, and I don't know what they changed, but I'm just sticking to YouTube and Facebook for now. So you can watch a simulcast on any of the three. If you're new here, we do this every week. We go over some stories from the past week about tech, and I pulled some articles up, put them on my webpage, and we talk about those articles. If there's a major event in that week between last Friday and this Friday, I usually try to cover that. As far as I know, there wasn't any this week. There will be next week because Tuesday is Google's big event for the Pixel. So we'll find out about that next week. But while I'm here, I'll show you my webpage, which you'll see the show notes for tonight's show. Let me pull that up. So every week, I put all the show notes on my page. If you go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, click on today's date. Oh, wait, let me change this format a little bit. There you go. If you click on today's date, you'll get just the show notes for tonight's show. And we had Brian in here about a half an hour ago, and Eleanor just popped in. Glad to have you both here, two of my favorite subscribers. And if you're new, as we do every week, I give you a preview of the articles we're going to cover tonight. Oh, and by the way, we were possibly going to start with a discussion of net neutrality with my friend Mike Livingston, who had a big issue with some of the stuff that Ted and I were saying about net neutrality last week. But Mike sent me a text this afternoon. He wasn't going to be able to make it. Ted was also going to try to make it. I think either way, he sent me a text a couple of hours ago that he's not going to make it. So you're just stuck with me tonight, and we're not going to have the good net neutrality argument. Maybe we'll have it another day. But I did put it up. I said possible discussion of net neutrality between Ted and Mike Livingston. All right, so that's not going to happen this week. So to my regular stuff for the week. I found a story on Phone Arena. I just said top Chinese phones about to one-up Samsung and Apple once again. You'll see what I mean when we get there. But basically, it's Xiaomi, OnePlus, and probably Huawei. But we'll get to that. So that's what we're going to start with on Phone Arena. Then, another one on Phone Arena. I said, are Apple's iPhone 16 sales expectations a pipe dream? He's making the point that maybe the iPhone 16 isn't going to sell as well as Apple thinks. And we'll discuss that a little bit. And here's Annette. Okay, three of my favorites are already in here. Brian, Eleanor, Annette. Glad you're here. And I'm sure you're probably getting ready to go to work if I know you, but I'm glad you popped in, and always glad you always go back and watch. So, all right, so those are the first two stories. And like I said, I don't think Ted is going to be here. Of course, I always send it to Mike and Will. By some miracle, Will shows up. That's always good. We know Mike is out making money with DoorDash. Here's Ruthie, another one of our favorites. All right, so we got some of our most faithful subscribers here already. So I'm going to continue down. The Disney group of streams are on the rise again. Basically, everything's going up in price. So that's true. I've got mostly short stories. I think maybe the first story is the longest story. Then recovering from the CrowdStrike thing where it shut down the computers worldwide, and we know the airlines had a big issue. Well, Delta seemed to have issues way longer than anybody else, to the point where the government is even looking to it. So I just said the Delta's refusal of help from CrowdStrike, because they did offer to help them get back up and running. And I saw an article somewhere that even Microsoft offered to help, and they refused that too. So we'll get to that, and that's going to be on Ars Technica. And then the government is looking into NVIDIA trying to bully people with bundling. So we'll talk about that. That's on Tom's Hardware. That's a story from a week ago that I didn't get to. And finally, Microsoft, Palantir, and the Pentagon. I said the real genesis of Skynet. I found this story on CNBC, and I just thought it was interesting that they're going to be helping the government, the military, with AI stuff. So I just thought, doesn't that remind me of something? So just wanted to give you guys the preview of the show, and nothing else new. So we'll go back to our first story. So it's probably going to be a quick show tonight, but that's how it goes. So top Chinese phones about to one-up Samsung and Apple once again on Phone Arena. And this came out day before yesterday. Chinese flagship phones about to leave iPhone, Samsung, and Pixel in the dust once again. It is by Martin Filipov, as I said 2 days ago. So let's drop into Read a View and get rid of some of these ads. I just thought it was an interesting story. A few years after Huawei came into the smartphone scene, the Chinese company decided to take the competition by surprise. Yes, they did. With what appeared to be tech that's several years ahead of what the competition had at the time, Huawei quickly became the biggest innovator in areas like smartphone cameras and charging batteries. That's very true. However, the infamous 2019 U.S. trade embargo put an abrupt end to Huawei's ambitions, at least on a global scale, although the company is still a huge player in the Chinese market. Speaking of China, soon after the beginning of the expected struggles that come with such a harsh trade ban, other Chinese brands came out of the woodwork to try and steal Huawei's spotlight. Fast forward to today. The likes of Xiaomi, Vivo, and Oppo have taken the stage to show us what real forward-thinking should look like. With a similar focus on novel and aggressive camera tech as well as folding phones, Chinese smartphone innovation simply doesn't, I think it means stop to impress. That's what it should say, I believe. And while there was a moment when it seemed like Apple, Samsung, and Google were slowly catching up to the Chinese smartphone hardware, 2025 might be the year that sends the iPhone, Galaxy, and Pixel 1 to 2 years back again. Because a lot of people think the those couple of Chinese manufacturers got ahead of them. So Xiaomi 15 Ultra and OnePlus 13, the globally available Chinese flagships to challenge and beat iPhone 16 Pro and Galaxy S25 Ultra. And this is what the, wait a minute. This is going to be what the Xiaomi looks like, and I guess what they suspect the OnePlus 13 looks like. 6,000, looking at both of them, 6,000 plus milliamp batteries, 7 times zoom over here, and we'll discuss that here. Step aside iPhone 16 Pro and Pixel 9 Pro. 7 times optical zoom could make Xiaomi 15 Ultra the absolute zoom champion and best camera phone of 2025. And I haven't had a Xiaomi phone, but every time you see reviews of the big boys who have, the big reviewers who have it, they always rave about the camera. So the cameras, I think, are outstanding. To get to the point, the reason for my classic lack of innovation rant, if that's what you want to call it, are two upcoming Chinese flagship phones and a few fresh leaks surrounding them. Pardon me. The first one is the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, the future successor to Xiaomi 14 Ultra, which I happen to think is the best camera phone available right now. What the latest leak from GSM China tells us is that the Xiaomi 15 Ultra might be even more impressive than its predecessor. I guess that's high praise when it comes to cameras. And that's not to be taken lightly considering how impressive Xiaomi's current Ultra flagship is in that regard. According to the leak backed by multiple sources, Xiaomi's new camera phone will be chasing the zoom sensations Samsung abandoned with the Galaxy S24 Ultra. A lot of people think Samsung made a mistake doing this by switching from a unique 10 times to a much more common 5 times zoom snapper. It is now said that the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, expected to debut in Q1 next year, will feature a class-leading 7 times periscope zoom lens, which should and most likely will make it the zoom king of 2025. This should come as no surprise since even with a 5 times optical zoom camera, the Xiaomi 14 Ultra takes incredible long-range zoom photos, all thanks to sensor cropping and some magical AI upscaling algorithm. The 7 times optical zoom of the Xiaomi 15 Ultra should be joined by a 1-inch primary camera with a stepless variable aperture, a 3 times zoom snapper with a jaw-dropping macro focus, and one of the largest ultra-wide sensors on any phone, like a color tuning across the board, of course. Now, OnePlus 13 to bet on modern design, a bonkers 6,000 plus milliamp battery, and super fast charging to make iPhone, Galaxy, and Pixel look outdated. So the OnePlus 13 should have a quad curved glass panel like the one on the Huawei P70 Ultra. That's that one. Next on my Chinese phones to look forward to, because I'm looking forward to them, list is the OnePlus 13. Yeah, for me too, actually. OnePlus 13 expected to break cover in late 2024 and go global in early 2025, which is what they did with the 12 this year, which I happen to have with me. Took it to work today, along with my Pixel 8a was my secondary phone. So after putting together a killer 2024 flagship phone with an awesome camera, which is the 12 he's talking about, superb battery and charging and excellent performance, the only true global Chinese phone maker is ready to turn it up a notch. So he's calling the OnePlus the only true global Chinese phone maker. While the OnePlus 12 is the best OnePlus phone ever, I agree with that, the OnePlus 13 might be aiming for the Android crown with class-leading battery life and a standout display glass tech. As of now, we don't have many concrete leaks about the camera. I haven't heard any of the OnePlus 13, but you can bet it's going to be better than the one in the OnePlus 12. If it is, it's going to be, pretty awesome, which is already great. I agree. And some of my comparisons have shown with some of my stuff with the iPhone and some of my other cameras that OnePlus 12 often comes out on top. However, what I love seeing in the most recent leaks is that the OnePlus 13 will be taking after the design of Chinese flagships like the Xiaomi 14 Pro and Huawei P70 Pro, which means it is expected to bring a quad curved glass panel. So let's go back up and look. Okay, here. That's where the screen portion of the panel is flat, but the glass around it curves all around the phone, melting down the sides. If it sounds delicious, it's because this glass engineering method makes phones look as aesthetically pleasing as a fine dining meal. And that's true, although you're still going to get some ghost touches because of that curve on the sides. It is interesting to note that OnePlus might be one of the few phone makers that's not keen on taking inspiration from the iPhone's design. The quad curved glass panel won't only make the OnePlus 13 look different from the global competition, but also super comfortable to hold and operate. OnePlus 13 and Xiaomi 15 Ultra to have huge 6,000 plus milliamp batteries. iPhone, Galaxy, and Pixel about to fall far behind in battery life. But the other major upgrade that Chinese flagships like the OnePlus 13, Xiaomi 15 Ultra, and Oppo Find X8 Ultra are expected to bring in 6,000 plus milliamp batteries. This will be a world first for globally available flagship phones and could very well make sure that the OnePlus 13 and Xiaomi 15 Ultra last 2 days on a single charge, which is bonkers. Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. I'm not sure if these phones will utilize a new special battery tech or simply utilize the extra space they have. Either way, these massive batteries plus the super fast up to 100 watts charging will make them battery monsters. Either way, iPhone, Galaxy, and Pixel about to fall far behind in battery life? Question mark, of course. Let's see. Brian says the larger battery size is welcomed. Everybody's always going to welcome that. Ruthie said that's why she didn't get the S24 Ultra. I stayed with the 23, which I still have. She says, looking forward to the S25 Ultra. If there is one, I guess yes. No reason Samsung won't release the 25 Ultra. I agree. Brian is asking anyone who experienced with iOS 17.6.1. What do I have? I think I have iOS 17 on my iPhone, but I don't have it with me today. And here's Alta Tech. Welcome, brother. Glad you're here. Oh, and Ruthie is answering. Brian, it is running well. Okay. OnePlus has always had super fast charging. Pixel 8 Pro charger so slow. Yeah, the 8A isn't fast, I'll tell you that. Okay, back to the article. Apple, Samsung, and Google hardware about to fall behind Chinese phones once again. Now, here's showing the Xiaomi Mix Fold 4, because a lot of people think the Chinese folding phones are better than Samsung's. Although they weren't the focus of this story, it's worth noting that the 2025 Chinese folding phones will most likely maintain and extend their lead in hardware innovation over what Samsung and Google have to offer. In the end, it seems like after managing to catch up to Chinese phones at least a little bit, but not quite, so he still doesn't think they've caught up. Over the past couple of years, the new iPhone 16 Pro, Pixel 9 Pro, and even the Galaxy S25 Ultra might fall behind the likes of the OnePlus 13 and Xiaomi 15 Ultra once again, at least in areas like camera hardware, battery tech, and charging. And just like so, we might be back to square one or square 2019, when instead of Xiaomi and the BBK group, Huawei was the one pushing the smartphone industry forward. That's true. Huawei was stunning everybody with their cameras back then. 1 inch camera sensors, quad curved display, and humongous batteries with crazy fast charging are still nowhere to be seen in the iPhone, Galaxy, and Pixel, while the Chinese foldable hardware seems to be moving forward way faster than what Samsung and Google have to offer in this segment. Yeah, they seem to keep coming up with increment. Like we'll find out from Google next Tuesday, I guess. To give a more specific example, Apple's 6.3-inch iPhone 16 Pro is expected to gain 40-watt charging and a 5-time zoom camera for the first time ever in 2024, a feat Huawei pulled off in 2018-2019. That's true. We'll find out about that next month. And as I said earlier, Samsung seems to have gone backwards by swapping the 10x zoom lens for the Galaxy S23 Ultra for a 5x one in the S24. I'm glad I kept my S23 Ultra. Is there a chance your new Android phone might be a OnePlus 13? There is in my case. Or a Xiaomi 15 Ultra? Give me a sprinkle of useful AI and I'm in. So just thought that was a really interesting article. And obviously, he thinks those two, at least, and Huawei, are pretty much staying ahead of Samsung and iPhone and Pixel. So just thought that was a really interesting article. Ruthie said the update for the iPhone was yesterday. Okay. Ruthie said didn't affect battery on mine, so that's always good. Okay, thanks. Very interesting article. All right, nothing else. So we will go on to the next story. Again on Phone Arena, I just said, are the iPhone 16 sales expectations a pipe dream? This guy thinks they might be. Apple Intelligence is not enough of an upgrade to make the expected iPhone 16 frenzy happen, by Sebastian Pierre, also published day before yesterday. So it's talking about Apple Intelligence AI, basically. Bold men make bold statements, like this statement right here. I would just say that with Apple Intelligence, we are very excited about the level of value that we're going to provide to users, and we believe that that presents another reason for a compelling upgrade. That's what Tim Cook said. Let's drop this into Reader View and get rid of some of these ads. Okay. One tip, what Tim Cook means, in case anyone is wondering, is that presumably millions of people, not just iPhone 12, iPhone 13 users, but also i15 users, will surely get the iPhone 16 because of Apple Intelligence, a suite of AI features that was recently announced. I, for one, don't think this will be the case. Stick with me for a couple of minutes and I'll tell you why. Who said what and why? The aforementioned quote from Tim Cook comes in the light of recent Apple earnings announcement, although Steve Jobs' successor did not specify how many iPhone 16 units are expected to be sold in the US and around the globe in the 24-25 season. Nevertheless, Tim Cook's optimism stems from the belief that Apple Intelligence, Apple's latest AI initiative, will offer compelling reasons for users of older iPhone models to upgrade. However, there are some factors not to be ignored, which could mean that this enthusiasm might be misplaced and that the anticipated hit sales might not materialize at the end of the day. What exactly is Apple Intelligence? Right off the bat, it's a genius, albeit a bit corny, appropriation of the AI abbreviation for artificial intelligence. This is the way for Apple to wash away the shame and to own the fact that it's really, really late to the AI party, as I've noted on previous occasions. In short, Apple Intelligence is Apple's new artificial intelligence platform that promises to enhance user experiences across its ecosystem. Now, of course, I haven't even got it on my iPhone 15 Pro Max yet. I guess I'll get it next month. Given that Apple Intelligence requires a minimum of 8 gigabytes of RAM, it will be available on all four iPhone 16 models, as these will come with 8 gigs of memory. 16, 16 Plus, 16 Pro, 16 Pro Max. If you've been following things closely, you know that the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max, which is the one I have, are the only iPhones from 2023 that are also compatible with Apple Intelligence. Yeah, so I know I'm going to get it. That leaves vanilla iPhone 15 and 15 Plus owners outside the App Int, short of Apple Intelligence, Prime Members Club. Take a look at the comments for a second. The last article. Yeah, Brian said it brings some attention to the innovative smartphones overseas. Yep. Brian says, I don't think the AI will draw an increase in sales that Apple is hoping. That's what this guy is saying too. Ruthie, In my opinion, the iPhone 16 is a big upgrade if coming from an older phone, which is what he said too. Let's see. Brian, the iPhone 12 is the base iPhone if you don't care for their latest upgrades. He's going to get to that here. Ruthie says, recent news says the full Apple Intelligence isn't coming at launch, probably Soaring 25. So I thought we were getting, well, I guess we'll find out next month. All right, back to the article. Why people might ignore the iPhone 16. I'm not as black-pilled as I might sound, but I won't be surprised if the iPhone 16 mania doesn't materialize and instead users save their breath and savings for the iPhone 17. I certainly will, more than likely, because I have the 15 Pro Max. My profound doubts in the potential hit sales of the iPhone 16 come from the same place where Tim Cook draws inspiration. He believes that people are thrilled by the Apple Intelligence Enigma, which was teased a few months ago at WWDC 2024. He believes that having an exclusive device that can run Apple Intelligence is enough to make people start throwing their credit cards around. I disagree, and obviously so does he. So they're showing tests here. Okay, test message self-reference created to send myself a way of generating an issues that can be used on my story about Apple Intelligence. With the image, Phone Arena readers will see how to use this AI feature. The image will serve as a visual guide for Phone Arena readers, demonstrating the functionality of this AI feature. And I guess these tools come with Apple Intelligence, I guess. Writing tools, a feature to be found in Apple Intelligence, I was right, gives an email a more professional tone. And I don't have the beta, so I haven't seen this yet. I think that most of the people have kind of half forgotten about Apple Intelligence. There are a few things in the news cycle that kind of outshine the promise of a phone that can rewrite your email in a different tone. Of course, there's more to Apple Intelligence than that. I'm just being cynical. In my humble opinion, the majority of people are not yet that dependent on AI. Certainly I'm not. Who was I watching? I was watching Tech Radar today, and he was kind of saying the same thing about the new Pixels that are coming. We're only in the dawn of the revolution. AI features, while exciting, somewhat, often appeal more to early adopters and tech enthusiasts rather than the broader consumer base. Yes, I'm a tech enthusiast. Most of us here are tech enthusiasts, and I don't think many of us are very excited about AI at all. Also, there's the competition factor. Why spend a fortune on the iPhone 16 if you can find cheaper alternatives? Companies like Samsung, Google, and OnePlus are already introducing AI innovations that make Apple devices look a bit outdated. If competitors offer similar AI or camera achievements at a lower price, or if they provide other appealing features, consumers might choose to switch brands rather than upgrade within the Apple ecosystem. Maybe, maybe not, but they have the other products. So I'm thinking they'll probably stick. What this is saying, some AI at launch, full AI spring of 25. That I hadn't heard. Interesting. Brian says, I hope they give the non-pro models 90 hertz displays. I haven't heard at all. Yeah, Ruthie says, in my opinion, AI is a slippery slope. I think a lot of it is just plain hype. That's just my opinion. For example, unlike Apple, which limits its AI features to its two most expensive iPhones, that's what they did this year, Apple promises to make AI accessible to more people by including it in its mid-range, that's good, and budget phones, just like its top models, such as the fine X7 Ultra. That's very good. Oppo has kept its promise with the recently unveiled Reno 12 series, which launched globally. This new series stands out with its design affordability and the same AI features found in the brand's higher-priced flagship models. Let's hope they all end up doing that. Or is it a well-crafted plan that will result in triumph? If there's a fan base that you can rely on to automatically upgrade their handset every time a new model is available, it's the Apple crowd. Well, that's generally true, but you see an awful lot of old Apple's iPhones with cracked screens from 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. So it's true to some degree. I don't say that as a negative. Yes, you can call it a cult, but at least its followers are consistent. At the end of the day, this is what it takes to be loyal to your brand of choice. If I look for the blind spots in my argument that the iPhone 16 won't sell that great, I have to state the following. Yes, Apple is late to the AI party. Yes, its competitors are crushing it. It's not just Google and Samsung. Brands like Oppo and Xiaomi are also deep down the AI rabbit hole, as we discussed above. However, this might be seen as a positive by Apple. Let the competition pave the way, and Apple has a habit of doing this. Let them school the public on what AI is. Then and only then will enter the stage that sort of attitude. And that's been successful for them pretty often. And you know what? There's a chance that this might actually work, right? That's the thing. It's a chance. Apart from that, it's not just Apple Intelligence that people are getting with the iPhone 16. The new iPhone line will also offer large screens for Pro models, advanced camera features, a Tetra Prism periscope lens, and possibly a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera. I thought I did very good with the Tetra Prism periscope lens. Anyway, I surprised myself saying it that well. The non-Pro models will see changes like a vertical rear camera alignment and the addition of the action button from the iPhone 15 Pro. All new iPhones will have a capture button for easier photo and video management. So, is that enough to make people go out and buy it? I'm thinking if I have AI on my 15 Pro Max, probably not in my case. In the end, the decision to upgrade your phone to a state-of-the-art iPhone does not mean that you're buying just any phone out there. A decision like that involves a complex interplay of features, pricing, competition, and user needs. Apple Intelligence, while an advancement, may not be an update for users to take. Changed my mind. So it's still a 50-50, as that's what the article says to me, whether or not the iPhone 16 will sell to people who are because of the AI features. Let's see. Yeah, Brian says he thinks the AI is hope also. Yeah, I think Sam Altman of ChatGPT, of OpenAI, I think he's one of the best hype salesmen ever. He's making a lot of money, and I don't think anybody's going to end up getting what they think is coming, or at least not for many years. That's my guess. Brian says, give us a better battery life and software implementation that makes us more productive. I agree. All about saving time doing things. And let's save a little money while we're at it, too. Okay. Good discussion. Thanks to Brian and Ruthie for jumping in, especially if Ruthie's right about some of the AI coming in spring of next year instead of right away. When I get on my 15 Pro Max, I will certainly let you guys know what I think I'm getting when it does come next month. Okay, nothing else. So on to the next story. And this is for people who are using the streaming services from Disney, which I don't anymore. But I said the Disney group of streams are on the rise again. We're talking price rise. This is on Tech Radar. Come on. It's just an opportunity to get a swig of tea. I love my Lipton green tea. Okay. Get ready. Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu are all getting more expensive. Here's what you need to know. By Jacob Kroll, published 3 days ago. Can we buck this trend? Let's jump into review. In what's becoming a common occurrence with most streaming services, Disney has announced a fresh price increase that will impact its ad-free and with ad tiers of Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. You might recall that Disney Plus last raised prices about a year ago, and these new prices will go into effect on October 17th this year. So you've got a couple of months. It's not all bad news, though. Disney is introducing something similar to live channels in the form of continuous playlists. That wouldn't be enough to justify it for me. And adding ABC News Live right into its already popular service. So increases across the board. Now, I won't go through this because he's going to explain them down here. The price increases are pretty widespread, though. They impact Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN with or without ads, as well as bundles. Disney Plus and Hulu monthly options are increasing by $2, while ESPN will cost $1 more a month, and he goes into that one by one. Here's a breakdown of the increases. So this is what the chart showed. Disney Plus Basic with ads moves from $7.99 to $9.99 a month, so there's $2. Disney Plus Premium without ads moves from $13.99 to $15.99, again, $2. Hulu with ads moves from $7.99 to $9.99 a month, $2. Hulu without ads moves from $17 to $18.99 a month, so only $1. And ESPN Plus moves from $10 to $11.99 a month, so again, $2. Bundle price increases are a bit more wide-ranging. Let's see what's in the comments first. Yeah, I don't have any of them anymore, and I had them all. Well, I didn't have ESPN on Hulu Plus, but I did have Disney Plus, and I don't even have Apple TV anymore. She says, sick of Disney E increases. I understand, but still not happy. Bye-bye Disney and their bundle. Brian, yeah, people will eventually stop using these subscriptions if they keep increasing their prices. I totally agree. Just joined Max for Doctor Who all seasons. Yeah, like a lot of Whovians, and I've been a Whovian since the 70s. The last couple of years of Doctor Who really has let me down, like many people. So, all right, back to the ad. Bundle price increases are a bit more wide-ranging. The basic Disney Duo plan, which includes Disney Plus and Hulu with ads, will increase by $1 from $10.99 to $10.99 from $9.99. That same bundle without ads stays at $19.99 a month. At least something stays the same. However, getting Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu with ads jumps by $2 to $26.99 a month from $24.99. Hulu's live TV bundles, which include access to Disney Plus and ESPN, are also increasing by $6. Okay. Thus, Hulu plus live TV with ads for on-demand content jumps to $82.99 from $76.99, and that same bundle without ads for on-demand content is now at $95.99 from $89.99. So nice hikes there. You'll have until October 17th of this year to consider the price increases, but as of now, no users are grandfathered in, so you will see the increase hit then. So this is going to hit everybody. Cost of new features. Still, for that price increase, Disney Plus is getting an ABC News Live integration directly into the platform on September 4th, which falls, so at least they're giving you a month to look at it, and maybe that'll entice you. Brian, thank you as always, sir. You're so kind. Always muchly appreciated. Which falls ahead of the upcoming 2024 election, meaning this could be a great resource. Additionally, these playlists providing a continuous stream of content will be grouped by category with the preschool-themed one launching first. Interesting. You can likely expect to see Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, Bluey, and Sophia the First in the mix here. I don't know Bluey or Sophia the First. At some point after, other themes like Star Wars and Marvel will be launched under Epic content alongside throwbacks, real life, and other seasonal content. However, these and presumably any others will only be for premium customers, aka those without advertisements. The price increase also comes a day after Disney Plus added a new environment to its app on the Apple Vision Pro. With it, you can now watch The Mandalorian, a throwback hit like Hannah Montana, Finding Nemo, Only Murders in the Building, don't know that, or any other piece of content on what feels like an infinitely large screen with the backdrop of Iceland's Thingvellir National Park, courtesy of National Geographic. So if you have the $3,500 headpiece, go for it. Other platforms are adding similar Vision Pro content features. You can watch movies with SpongeBob in Paramount Plus now and even catch jellyfish. Now, I have been seeing, for 3 days now, I think, videos saying how Apple is very disappointed in how Vision Pro is selling, and it's really not selling well at all. You'll ultimately have to weigh the cost of the increase, including the person writing this story who has Hulu plus live TV, and see if it works out. And who knows, maybe Disney is working on other features or content additions to its streaming services. So, for those of you who have these subscriptions, at least you know what's coming. Pardon me. Let me take a quick drink here. Okay, so let's get out of this one and on to our next one. Yeah, Delta, I think, says they're going to take CrowdStrike to court, but CrowdStrike has some things to say about that. I said that Delta's refusal of help from CrowdStrike add to its much longer system recovery. This was on Ars Technica. CrowdStrike claps back at Delta, saying airline rejected offers for help. And as I said, I saw another article that Microsoft offered to help Delta too, because they were out much longer than the other American airlines, and they refused to help from both, I gather. Delta is creating a misleading narrative, according to CrowdStrike lawyers. And that's from the 5th by Stephanie Stacy and Philip Georgiadis. Okay, let's jump this into review. And this was from the July 23rd, and travelers from France were waiting on their Delta Airlines flight in LA. CrowdStrike has hit back at Delta Airlines' threat of litigation against the cybersecurity company over a botched software update that grounded thousands of flights, denying it was responsible for the carrier's own IT decision. So, yeah, CrowdStrike screwed up, but Delta, I guess, is trying to make it sound like they weren't part of the problem. In a letter on Sunday, lawyers for CrowdStrike argued that the U.S. carrier had created a misleading narrative that the cybersecurity firm was grossly negligent in an incident the U.S. airline has said will cost it $500 million. So they're trying to get some money out of CrowdStrike. I can see that, but I don't see what they deserve any more than anybody else. It's just because they took longer to recover than the other airlines. Delta took days longer than its rivals to recover when CrowdStrike's update brought down millions of Windows computers around the world last month. The airline has alerted the cybersecurity company that it plans to seek damages for the disruptions in a hired litigation firm, Boyce Schiller Flexner. CrowdStrike addressed Sunday's letter to the law firm, whose chair, David Boies has previously represented the U.S. government in its antitrust case against Microsoft and Harvey Weinstein, among other prominent players. So they dealt with some big timers. Microsoft has estimated that about 8.5 million Windows devices were hit by the faulty update, which stranded airline passengers, interrupted hospital appointments, and took broadcasters off air around the world. CrowdStrike said last week that 99% of Windows devices running the affected Falcon software were now back online. Major U.S. airlines Delta, United, and American briefly grounded their aircraft on the morning of July 19th. But while United and American were able to restore their operations over the weekend, Delta's flight disruptions continued well into the following week. The Atlanta-based carrier in the end canceled, get this, more than 6,000 flights, triggering an investigation from the U.S. Department of Transportation amid claims of poor customer service during the operational chaos. CrowdStrike's lawyer, Michael Karlinski, co-managing partner of Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan, wrote that if it pursues legal action, Delta Airlines would have to explain why its competitors were able to restore their operations much faster. Yeah, I think that's true. He added, should Delta pursue this path, Delta will have to explain to the public, its shareholders, and ultimately a jury why CrowdStrike took responsibility for its actions swiftly, transparently, and constructively, while Delta did not. Seems like Delta is still trying to get out of taking responsibility or any responsibility. CrowdStrike also claimed that Delta's leadership had ignored and rejected offers for help. CrowdStrike CEO personally reached out to Delta CEO to offer on-site assistance, but received no response. CrowdStrike followed up with Delta on the offer for on-site support and was told that the on-site resources were not needed, so Delta didn't even want their help. Delta Chief Executive Ed Bastian said last week that CrowdStrike had not offered anything, get this, he's using words, here's a play on words, had not offered anything to make up for the disruption at the airline. So he's not saying they didn't offer any help. He's just saying they didn't offer anything that would help them. So he said no. Free consulting advice to help us, that's the extent of it, he told CNBC on Wednesday. While Bastian has said that this disruption would cost Delta $500 million, CrowdStrike insisted that any liability by CrowdStrike is contractually capped at an amount in the single-digit million, which is probably true. A spokesperson for CrowdStrike accused Delta of public posturing. I think that's exactly what they're doing, about potentially bringing a meritless lawsuit against CrowdStrike, and said it hoped the airline would agree to work cooperatively to find a resolution. Yeah, since they were out much longer than the others, they're trying to come up with an excuse why. So they're trying to put that on CrowdStrike. I don't think they can. So just an interesting story following up that worldwide disruption. It seems to me that Delta was their own worst enemy after it happened, of course. Okay, nothing new in the comments. All right, two more stories. I said, does NVIDIA bundling amount to bullying? This I found on Tom's Hardware. This is from a week ago. U.S. DOJ, Department of Justice, launches NVIDIA antitrust investigation. So they haven't accused them of anything yet. Investigating potential strong-arm tactics related to artificial intelligence GPU supply by Anton Shilov. Like I said a week ago, the U.S. government wants to find out whether NVIDIA is using strong-arm tactics. Let's jump into reader view. It's like U.S. government is coming after these companies big time now. I have to remember last week it was Google. The U.S. Department of Justice has launched an investigation into NVIDIA prompted by allegations. Now, I don't know where the allegations come from because I don't think they tell us, of the company potentially exploiting its dominant position in the AI processor market, and they have been making big money on the AI processors, according to a report by The Information. The probe focuses on whether NVIDIA's business practices unfairly limit competition by forcing its customers to buy products in bundles or using strong arm tactics to seize business with its rivals. It's kind of the same stuff they hit Microsoft from back in the early 2000s, and a lot of people, both US and EU, are going after Google right now. So it's probably not a good thing for NVIDIA to do, if it's true. The US DOJ is reportedly examining whether NVIDIA has threatened to punish customers who buy their AI processors from its rivals like AMD and Intel or smaller startups by delaying their long-awaited orders. So if you order from somebody else, you won't get your orders real quick. Yeah, if they can back this up, that's going to really hurt them. Such practices could clearly stifle competition and eventually limit options on the market of AI processors. However, NVIDIA denies such business practices to a surprise and asserts that it allocates GPUs fairly between its customers. I think you're going to have to prove that. The US DOJ has reportedly contacted NVIDIA competitors, including AMD, to acquire information about the complaints, the information claims. Also, the investigation is looking into allegations that NVIDIA pressured cloud service providers into purchasing multiple products together. And yeah, they don't like bundling a whole lot, such as A100 or H100 GPUs for artificial intelligence and HPC workloads, along with Mellanox branded networking gear, possibly restricting their choices. The DOJ is also investigating claims that NVIDIA may have imposed higher prices on networking equipment for customers opting for AI chips from competitors like AMD and Intel. That's easy to prove. I mean, if you're charging higher than to other companies, they're going to find that out. So my guess is NVIDIA is in trouble here. But I just thought it was an interesting story, since we've been getting stories for weeks of how NVIDIA is really making money from the whole AI chip stuff. So, and down to my last story, which I just thought this was really interesting. I just said Microsoft, Palantir, and the Pentagon, the real genesis of Skynet. I found a story on CNBC, but the whole Skynet thing was my idea, not this, just so you know. Palantir jumps 11% on Microsoft partnership to sell AI to U.S. defense intel agencies. Published August 8th, so yesterday. And we'll skip the highlights. We'll just go straight to the story. Palantir shares closed up 11% on Thursday after the company announced a partnership with Microsoft to sell secure cloud, analytics, and artificial intelligence capabilities to the U.S. Defense and Intelligence Committees. As soon as I saw that, I thought of Skynet. I don't know what other people might think, but that's what I thought of. Palantir, which works closely with governments now get this, to provide software to visualize army positions. So that's indirect. If you're in a war, that's really going to help you. Among other services, will use the partnership to launch its products, such as Gotham, Foundry, Apollo, and AIP. Don't know what they are, but I guess the military can use them, on Microsoft Cloud products for government agencies. Palantir reported earnings earlier in the week, raising its annual revenue forecast to between $2.74 billion and $2.75 billion, from $2.68 billion to $2.69 billion. So that's a nice little increase there. That was above LSEG consensus estimates of $2.7 billion forecast. CEO Alex Karp, that's him right there, said in a letter to shareholders at the time, I didn't drop this into reader view, which I guess I could. Let's see. Yeah, I can. Okay, CEO Alex Karp said in a letter to shareholders at the time that the company's trailing 12-month revenue in its U.S. government business, which includes intel and defense agencies, surpassed $1 billion for the first time. The company said it earned 54% of its revenue from government clients during the second quarter. That's scary stuff. Microsoft said the partnership would allow U.S. defense and intelligence organizations to build AI tools for action plans and logistics, which could mean almost anything, among other things. Palantir, co-founded by billionaire Peter Thiel, will work with Microsoft to provide trial services and training sessions. So they're going to make a lot. It's just scary that they're putting the AI and handing it to the Defense Department. Anyway, I thought it was scary. So that's all I've got tonight, folks. Let's see. Yeah, Ruthie said, oh, no, that's awful. Yeah, it is kind of awful. The most flawed OS in history. What could go wrong there? Now, I programmed back in 2002 for the Air Force and the Marines and the FBI, but I wasn't working on anything that would help you. Well, in the field, let's say. But yeah, I was programming stuff where they could get their rifles in and out of a system easily. That's what I was working on. But with the AI stuff, and it just made me think of Skynet right away. So anyway, that's everything that I've got tonight, folks. And I want to thank Brian and Ruthie for making the whole conversation so much better. You guys always contribute an awful lot, and I appreciate it very, very much. And I thank Eleanor for being here, Annie for dropping in, and who else came in here? Oh, and Alta Tech for coming in. He's, I think, in Texas training with Samsung, I believe it is. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, let's see, Ruthie said I bailed out of MS-50. Brian says, all jokes aside, it's alarming. Thanks, Ruthie. Glad you guys like the articles. Always good that you guys jump in. And thank you all for coming in. And maybe next week we'll get Ted in here. And if Mike is ever up to discussing the net neutrality with him again, we'll get that in there. So thanks everybody for coming by. I hope everybody has a very blessed weekend. And let's always remember we all do better when we love each other. See you next week, folks.